Hi, welcome to Tantalus Oracle Energetically Leo. So today I'm here with Case Twin from AllnDaKards, and today we're going to be talking about effective communication. Now, previously we had already discussed shadow work and emotional maturity, and so today we're talking about effective communication because all of this is going to go hand in hand. So I'm going to give you a few minutes to come in, give people some time to come in, and then we're going to get started.
Yes, 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 yes. It's cold. I don't know if it's cold where y'all at.
It's it wasn't really cold today, but it was raining.
Mm. No, we
Yeah.
ain't doing nothing.
Okay. Okay, well, let's go ahead and get started. I don't know who's in here.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about, like I said, effective communication. So, hey, how you doing on a spiritual journey? So I'm going to give the definition of what I saw was for effective communication. So effective communication is the process of exchanging ideas, thoughts, opinions, knowledge, and data so that the message is received and understood with clarity and purpose. So the main thing we want to do is have a clear communication with clarity and have a purpose of when you communicate. So whatever the purpose is, that's going to, you want to make sure it's clear when you communicate with someone.
Right.
And that includes an effective communication includes active listening, empathy, and choosing appropriate channels of language. So that means that whatever method that you're trying to communicate in, it needs to fit the situation. Okay. So I'm gonna let you go ahead and pick up some things you want to say, and then I'll come back and say some other things.
Okay. Yeah. So basically, I want to start by talking about fine. I'm doing good. I hope everybody out there is doing well. Today, starting with this podcast today, we're talking about effective communication. And I just want to start out by saying, I have not been always someone who could effectively communicate, right? And so, starting with that, because a lot of us definitely have different issues around communication. Communication to me is always the number one key to all relationships, anyway, right? Hey, Chrissy. And so, before I get into the main things of what effectively communicating is based off of research and, actually working in corporate America and how, what they call code switching as well, which is another form of communicating and not being authentically you. Those are some of the things that I also want to talk about, but to start off, effectively communicating was a task. You know what I'm saying? Because if you really think about it, from where we've come from, we have our own languages, right? So, you can look at that as being what they used to call back in our day ebonics. Then you can look at it as being like slang, right? Or, and just trying to take that into, learning how to really, communicate effectively. So those were my struggles, right? My struggles also with effective communication. I'm starting out with my flaws because I feel like more people can understand, if you understand where I came from in reference of where I have where I'm going now in reference of effectively communicating, then maybe you can resonate with this as well, right? So starting with my flaws, not listening before I speak, right? And so my mom and my grandma, I probably got that when I was a young kid on my report card that I talked too much in class, right? The teacher constantly talking and I'm speaking before I could, before she get anything out or trying to, hey, me, instead of learning to, calm down and not speak first, listen, right? And then wanting to speak, you know, over people also. That's another thing in reference to effective communication. Some of us have to understand that and I put this on my IG page the other day. It's like we have to unlearn some things that we've learned, even the way we've been raised, because sometimes the way we communicate, and it may not be effective, right, is how we were brought up, right? So in our house, like my family, we all talk loud. That's a country thing, right?
Mhm.
So talking loud was acceptable in our home, you know what I'm saying? But talking loud somewhere else may be, they may feel like you're being aggressive, you know what I'm saying? Or you coming off wrong on them, you know what I'm saying? Or they may feel like you trying to, or cross boundaries or something of that sort. So that was another thing as well. Um, my flaws in reference of effective communication also was fussing, right? Fussing a lot, instead of listening to some of my old, relationships and so forth, and not wanting to hear what they had to say first and speaking before they even got anything out, just popping off. You know what I'm saying? That's not effective communication, right? So, and then also another part of effective communication is not having any empathy towards others when they're voicing their situation or their opinion and so forth. That's also another part of effective communication that I have flaws with, right? So those are just a few that I wanted to pinpoint that I wrote down. And I wanted to say those first because it took time. You know what I'm saying? It takes time to learn how to effectively communicate, right? It takes time, it takes a lot of effort, and it's not going to happen overnight. You know what I'm saying? So don't be hard on yourself if you are still going through the motions and the notions of trying to change the way you talk or the way you speak. And some people, it's not even that it's an issue in reference of the communication styles, which is a lot of communication styles as well, but it may be a dialect, it may be a language, you know what I'm saying, that causes them, which that's also another part of your culture, right? Like I was talking about with the ebonics and the slang and all of that, we may feel like it's a effective way of communicating, right? But outside of that culture, outside of our culture, they may not know what in the world we talking about. You know what I'm saying? So you have to learn to be able to communicate, efficiently and effectively. So the way that we do that and what tools that I've used, even learning it on my journey, my career, right? Even learning it on my career. I just have issues with speaking my mind without considering others' feelings. Yes, that's another flaw as well. I have that too. That's kind of like the one I was saying, like over speaking, right? So speaking my mind, and which makes me feel like I'm being true to myself. In other words, having to bite my tongue, right? And you know what that is also? That goes back to that code switching where we be in environments, even at work and stuff, and we can't say what we truly want to say. You know what I'm saying? Or be authentically us, right? Because, the way that we would like to communicate with someone may not be the way that they look at it as being effective communication, right? So that's just, yeah, I mean, I feel that all the way, sis. You know what I'm saying? So I really understand that. But the tips and stuff that I've learned over times and over communicating with multiple people, and plus with my career, I have went overseas before, right? So I went out of this country to Kuwait over in the Middle East, and that was a huge communication barrier, right? And so it was a huge communication barrier because of the language first, also in reference of the culture, right? Because when I got there, we had to learn, you can't say certain things, you can't do certain things, some things that we seen or deemed as acceptable was not acceptable over there, right? So you have to learn those type of things. And how do you do that? By listening. So if we didn't listen, you have to actively listen. That's the first key to having effective communication. That's in any steps that you may have. They're going to tell you need to listen. And why do they say that is because that's the first hand thing, so you'll be able to understand how to respond, right? So active listening is to be able to respond the way you should, right? But you're not going to know that, you know what I'm saying, if you constantly talking and then you offending somebody and then you kicked out the country, your visa restricted and everything, you know what I'm saying? So that was the things that we had to deal with, right? So it's about what I had here was active listening. Cultivate the art of active listening by giving your full attention and understanding the message, responding appropriately, and remembering the details shared. That is definitely something that we have to do, right? So also, the next thing I have in reference of, effective tips, right, is use I statements. Express your thoughts and feelings using I, So, when you're doing that, try to make it more about yourself versus, maybe punctuating, well, they did, or, they, no, say I, or either I don't understand. You know what I mean? That's like efficient, effective communication is letting them know that it resonates with you, but you're trying to understand someone, after you listen to it, So those I statements are definitely having honest dialogue, right, with the person or with whoever you're dealing with. Okay. The third thing I have is to clarify and confirm, right? So that probably go in reference of the 4 C's you was talking about, but it's about doing that is about avoiding misunderstandings, right? And you doing that by, getting clarification, getting confirmation that you understood what you was listening to. Then you're able to effectively state, what it is by your response then, because someone has actually clarified it or given you confirmation in reference of how to respond. But if you don't have that, you just popping off, you're not going to know, you know what I'm saying? You're not going to know if it's right or not. So confirming that you're understanding someone's the way that they're communicating with you or their message is definitely going to be a way for you to have like an accurate response. You know what I'm saying? So that's a big tip to it all. First is acknowledging them, then listening, then, understanding and being responsible for that situation with using those I statements, and then clarifying, confirming. But also being empathetic, right? So being empathetic is in reference of acknowledging someone's feelings and all of those type things. Because, not acknowledging someone's feelings and you constantly talking and you just telling your side of the situation and you're not acknowledging their feelings. You're not saying, okay, yes, I understand you feel this way, but maybe I disagree. You don't always have to agree either, but at least be respectful in reference of coming off with, how you are empathizing with that person. I feel like that also helps. You know what I'm saying? It helps in reference of kind of, laying a foundation of respect, all in all, right? So being empathetic is the main thing after confirming what you've heard and how you really should respond. You know what I'm saying? And it's hard. It's easier said than done, right? So I'm not saying that this is an easy task, but with practice makes perfect, right? And so, over time is when you get better, right? Because it takes a lot for some people who are actively within their culture or even in their home or used to talking, and chit chatting and talking with their family, everybody talking all over each other and how they want to talk, to get in an environment where you have to listen before you can talk. You know what I'm saying? That's a task, So that's the first thing. Then because some people can't listen. Some people I know, okay, they will not listen. They won't even calm their mind because you know what? Their mind is running so fast that they're not allowing their thoughts and the things and to be able to listen first before they speak. that's was what because I know I came from that. I actually used to do that all the time, and it's like I try to listen more, but it's hard sometimes, even sometimes stepping back into that,
Mhm.
do you have those same type of, issues that you would say over the times? What have been some of your issues with effective communication?
Well, for me, I've always been a listener.
Mm.
So, but I'm not a big speaker. And I
Mm.
only really speak if I have something to say.
So you're the
Like,
opposite. You're the
I hear-
opposite. Yeah.
yeah. So I'm always kind of like, oh, I'm listening, I'm picking because I'm like an observer. I observe everything, I listen. And, but when I speak to people, sometimes people say that I'm too blunt. And I don't feel like I am, but they say that, like, you too harsh with your words, you too blunt. I'm like, well, I'm just saying what I got to say. I'm like cutting all the small talk.
Yeah.
But so that is kind of like the issue, but they know I hear them because I can tell you everything that you said. But that's my thing. And sometimes, like you said, in school, I used to get the talk too much, like all the time. And then they send a note home. She talked too much. And my mom's like, you
I
talk
too.
too much in school. And then they send a note home. She doesn't say anything. My mom's like, well, pick one. Which one you want? What side you want her to be on? Because I'm like, I'm not getting in trouble, so I'm gonna be quiet.
Right.
So now it's like I just be quiet, and I'm like, no, because they say I talk too much, and
Yeah.
I do. Sometimes I know I go on and on,
Me
but
too.
majority of the time I'm just sitting back and I'm listening,
Yeah.
and which goes back. I'm going to bring up the ways to improve your communication skills, and it says practice active listening, like you said. Focus on the nonverbal communication because people talk with their hands and their face and their
Yeah.
body and all of that type of stuff.
Woo!
Manage your own emotions, ask for feedback, practice public speaking. They say that too, and then develop a filter. So don't just be
Yeah.
popping off and just saying anything because there might
Right.
not be.
Right.
Yeah, so those are like 6 ways you can improve because a lot of people can speak good, in private. But when they get
Yeah.
in front of people, they just freeze up because
Yeah. They
Mhm.
do. Yeah. That's true.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was a good one too about like how people just say what they want to say, and some people
Mhm.
just don't think about it. You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
that was a good one. Yeah. Now I was reading what on my journey. I mean, on my spiritual journey. Hey, Melissa was saying about how her fiance will twist her words up. Now, to me, that sounds like the steps been skipped, right? So somebody didn't clarify and get confirmation of what they heard. So of
Mhm.
course, if they didn't get confirmation and clarify what they've heard, then they're going to constantly twist up what they want to what they feel like they heard, and then that's what's going to cause the situation. She said it's so aggravating. Yet want to end the relationship. Listen, been there. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
But the thing of the matter is that's when y'all both gotta be on the same page of effective communication. Because if it ain't one person on effective communication and the other person not on effective communication, it ain't gonna be right. It
But
ain't gonna.
another thing with that is we
Mm-hmm.
have to understand the other person's communication style. Because just like me, I talk to somebody and then it's like I'm telling you this or they telling me something, but I hear it through my own filter. So they can say something and
Yeah.
they can just say the sky is blue. I'm like, so you saying it ain't purple? So you just hear it
Yeah.
based on the filter or the emotion attached to it. So once you understand
Mm.
how that person communicate, because some people don't communicate by talking all the time. They may just do things. So
Yeah.
you need to understand each other's communication style and how they can effectively communicate to you. Because some people you might want to talk to him and he's not in the state to listen to you. So you have to understand, okay, in order for me to talk to him, it has to, I ain't saying it got to be a perfect storm, but you have to have an idea of what will make him most receptive to what you're saying. And then you have to explain to him what makes what he's saying most receptive to you. So basically, understanding the other person's, the way they understand how they filter and how they communicate. Because
Yeah.
a lot of people don't communicate properly in a relationship. They just think things just supposed to fall into place. Well, they should have known. I don't know why we've been together 30 years and they don't know me. Did you ever tell them?
Exactly. Right.
So you have to make sure that you understand that other person and not just talking at, because sometimes we do that. We talking at and we think we talking to is like a monologue over here, not a dialogue. So we have to make sure we're not doing that too.
Right. And that's because she said she about to pull her hair out. She said she don't try to go to counseling and everything. And see, that's the thing right there.
Mm-hmm.
It's one person that knows how to start with effective communication or even giving solutions to the issue. But if the other person refuses and they don't want to work on it, or they don't want to clarify and confirm, or they don't have empathy, then it may not be a situation that could be fixed, because you have to have the other person has, that's a part of the main things in effective communication is empathy responses, or having empathy within the effective communication, because you're accountable for not only you understanding, but you're accountable also for understanding what the other person is trying to convey to you, which is another form of you know,
Mm-hmm. Now I
being.
have this quiz up here at the
Oh
top.
yeah,
You scroll back, and it's going to be you test to see what your communication style is. So you can go back and do that to see what yours is, and if he wants to do it, and
right.
then y'all can compare the two and see how y'all can come together and work on that. But yeah, counseling, yeah, it may not just be communication; it may just be something else.
Now
I
that
don't know.
part too. You got thrown into something else, sis. Might be too. You know what I'm saying? Maybe he don't want to communicate effectively because it is something else.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that, but yeah. So yes, sis. Try to get him to therapy, because there is something going on, especially if he's refusing. Because if he's refusing, ain't no fight in it. You know what I'm saying? Hey, Ebony.
Tiffany.
So yeah, so and I hate that you're going through that. And Chrissy says she definitely cuts her husband off unintentionally, which is that's a normal thing, because I like I said, that was a part of my flaws. You know what I'm saying? That's why I started with telling y'all that. But she said she's working on it. That's all we can do. You know what I'm saying? Just as long, because that's a part of the main part that we was talking about is acknowledging it first, then being able to listen. You know what I'm saying? And then get back to, understanding and all that kind of stuff later. Which said we're gonna have to figure something out. Yeah. It is. He has childhood issues. Boom.
What we talked about the first time was the shadow work that needs
Shadow
to be
work.
done.
Shadow
And
work.
then it goes back to the emotional maturity, what we just did the other week. So all that goes hand in hand.
All of it goes hand in hand. And it definitely sounds like a refusal of tapping into himself first. So if you can't even be authentic with you first, then it's gonna be hard for you to be able to effectively communicate, as he has cut himself off from communication. You see? So you need to
And
tell him to go towards what Tantrums was saying. Rewind back and go back to shadow work, okay? And watch some of the shadow work videos. Maybe he can do them on his own. Because sometimes men don't, they feel forced if you're trying to, make them. You know what I'm saying? So kind of give him the tool and allow him to do it on his own if he will. You know what I'm saying? He may look at us like, some men might look at these pages and
women
be
don't know
like,
what they're talking about.
yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, exactly. So it may be still that situation where you just gonna have to break down and do some type of therapy with him too.
That goes back to what you said. And it's going with communication as well. It's like when people try to communicate how they feel to another person, and that person doesn't even know how to go inside themselves to understand how they feel, they will never understand what you're saying, because they can't get to that part in themselves. So that's another thing with the communication. That's cause another block, because if they're not there emotionally or mentally, they can't meet you and they
That's
can't
right.
hear you.
That's right. And they're not. You know what I'm saying? And they're not. Just like he done already told her no, you know, knowing that's something that is going to assist or help the relationship. There's no way around not communicating, because if you don't communicate with your spouse or your boyfriend or whoever, that's
Hmm.
this. I don't know how that's going to work,
Yeah.
because you need that even with family and friends.
Hmm.
Yeah, he needs to work on himself, is what Chrissy
Now
said.
there the four types of communication. It's not just verbalizing. It's
Right.
the nonverbal as well, the
Mhm.
visual and the written. So some people are good at writing stuff down. Visual, you can see how their body movements and what they're doing, the nonverbal. Okay, so it's different ways to communicate, but then most of us do all of them at the same time, except for the written. Most of us doing all of them, talking with your hands and the facial expressions when you're
Yeah,
talking and stuff. So you reading all of that, because I know I do.
I
I'm
do.
doing all. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because yeah, and that was another thing. Like when I took a communication class in college, that was one of the things that I had a very hard time of not doing, was talking with my hands. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like in front of, because that's one of the things they tell you not to do, especially when you're doing like because I took a communication class and it was like you got to do a speech, right? So you got to get in front of everybody. This would also taught me in reference of how to do public speaking. You know, that was a part of that class, being able to stand up and talk in front of other people and not use your hands as much, not say the ums, and that's a part of that non-communication stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it is harder than saying it versus you paying attention to your hands, because sometimes, like you said, we unconsciously use our hands when we talking, and your body language and your facial expressions, and you know what I'm saying, because you could just look across the room and give somebody that eye, and that's like nonverbal communication. Yeah, exactly. So, it's all kinds, but it takes time. That's why I was saying in the beginning, it ain't something you just gonna know how to do overnight either. You got to practice it. You know what I'm saying? Because you just been so used. I mean, listen, we in 40s, and you know what I'm saying, doing that same thing over and over and over for years. Even if you learn to not do it for a certain period of time, and you got out of that. We done been out of school for umpteen years. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
it's something you really have to really put your mind to, and be intentional in reference of effective communication. But yeah, I had nonverbal down too. It said pay attention to the nonverbal cues such as body language, facial expression, um,
Mm-hmm.
and it said additional beyond words, pretty much. Okay, what's
Mm-hmm.
it say? Also, might not listen if you don't follow up what you saying. True. Chrissy, that was a good one. Yeah.
Another thing is sometimes, because I know I need to work on mine, it's your throat chakra, and that can affect your communication as well. So if you have issues coming from your throat chakra, that can cause communication issues as well. So could be off balance, but that we don't know what we're not saying what it is for him because we don't know, but
Mhm.
but it could
Exactly.
be a lot of things that's going on, and but all a part of that is understanding each other. Is going to always come down to communication. So if we don't have that, we won't have an understanding. It
Yeah.
has to be some type of communication going on.
It's got to be. What she say? But get mad when I say I can't do this anymore. Oh, yes. It sounds like a lot going on, sis.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like a lot going on. Yeah. Because there's been some communication cut off there.
Mm-hmm.
Completely, it sound like to me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it sounds like to me that you already know and you need to listen to your gut. You know what I'm saying? Listen to your intuition. And um as being on your spiritual journey, you'll learn what it is that you will decide to protect your energy from as well, which I'm getting ready to do a shadow work video on that tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
So you may want to come to All in the Cards and watch that shadow work video tomorrow. about that. Yeah.
Yeah. But you can only meet somebody where how far they're willing to meet you.
That's right. That's right. Because especially it sounds like he, done checked out based off of what she's saying, you know.
Mm. But then we could be hearing it from your point of view because we have our own filter, and he can come in here and say the opposite of what you
Yeah,
say.
that's true too. That's true too. He might have a whole different story, sis. And
Mhm.
yeah, you might have a whole different story. But see, that's a part of that effective communication too.
Mhm.
Because y'all gonna get into counseling and see anyway.
Right.
Once you get face to face and be able to sit between a mediator, because that's
Mhm.
all it's gonna turn into.
Yeah. Mhm. So now, did I already go over this? I don't know. But the four skills needed for effective communication, we already had the listening skills,
Mm.
empathy, as you stated before, the nonverbal communication skills, and then the teamwork, meaning that you actively engage with each other in the conversation. Nobody not tuned off doing a crossword puzzle while you're trying to go, talk to them about something. So that's all part of
That's
the skills needed for effective communication.
okay. Yeah, see, because I didn't have the one about the team. That's a good
Mhm.
one because the thing that I used to hate about like working in corporate and working around people, and then you work on a team is like everybody doesn't participate or everybody doesn't voice their opinion. You know what I'm saying? And then sometimes it's like you have those main two people that's on the team that's vocal for everybody, and then everybody mad at the two vocal people, but you won't voice your opinion. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta work with, you gotta work on that. You know what I'm saying? If you're working in a group setting, that's another part of you putting your best foot forward as well, having effective communication, because you can't complain if you're not speaking, or voicing things. That's another part of your throat chakra being out of balance as well, like you were saying.
Mhm.
You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Not being able to express yourself, you know.
Mhm.
So yeah, that team one was a good one because I hadn't even thought about that because I've dealt with that multiple times with working on different teams, at work
Mhm.
or whatever, or even in school, right? Taking a class and they break you up into little teams or whatever. And then you have that one person that ain't really, effectively communicating, and then everybody else doing their part. And then it just makes the whole team dynamic be off. And then it makes you actually jaded about even working with that person anymore. You know what I'm saying? Because you're like, I don't want him on my team.
Yeah, because he ain't doing it. uh,
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So yeah, that was a good one, sis. Yeah, that was a good one. I had forgot about that one.
so when we're talking about effective communication, we kind of went over what it is. And if you want to look more into it, like I said, we got the quiz up there. You could probably find other quizzes. But all of this in all is how you're going to be doing for your shadow work, because shadow work is going to require all of this. So, like we talked about the shadow work, and we started with the inner child issues and childhood trauma. And those things are what molds us and kind of into who we are today and the issues that we have. And then we went to emotional maturity, which is us understanding our emotions and being able to effectively communicate what we feel, our emotions, and the things that we have went through, our traumas. All of that goes hand in hand, and that's why we're doing the shadow work. And Keziah, Case Win, Keziah, all in the cards
Okay.
has the all of the shadow work videos you possibly can need. She done went over just about every topic. So go over there to her channel. She has that. You still doing the
I'm gonna do one tomorrow too.
for no, not tomorrow, but the shadow work class.
Oh yes, the shadow work class. That's right. February 24th at 3 o'clock. You can get your tickets for it. We still have a few tickets on there. And that's for the 24th at 3 o'clock on Zoom. And you can go to AllnDaKards, way it's spelled down here below, right there. .com. AllnDaKards.com and get your tickets there. It should be right on the front thing when we're and that's just the start of the classes, right? Um,
We
but
have her Patreon. We get
yeah,
her Patreon.
And on
Mhm.
and Patreon. Yeah, I forgot Patreon as well. We do shadow work lives over there. We do shadow work session lives every Wednesday night at
Mhm.
6:30 over there. Where we just ascending with each other. You know, we do our shadow work on our own, of course, but
Mhm.
with shadow work sessions, I started doing videos, recording myself, and I was doing my shadow work. But instead of doing it where I wasn't recording, I recorded myself, made videos, and I posted it on my channel. That's what shadow work sessions started out as. And so they helped me, they've helped others, and I wanted to continue to do that, and even created a shadow work deck. So we have our shadow work deck that's coming out. I'm so excited, family. I'm so excited. This shadow work deck is going to really, really pave the way for a lot of people who may not want to come to classes, who may not want to deal with the public, who may want to do their own shadow work by themselves. It'll
Mhm.
also help some readers, such as ourselves, you know, tarot divination readers, to do shadow work readings to help more people with shadow work, right? Maybe even in divination, because this deck you can use that for. So
Mhm.
I definitely created this tool for us to use in reference of doing shadow work on your own, okay?
Mhm.
But also in group settings, because we will be using the deck at the shadow work class, and we will be using the deck in our shadow work sessions. And it's going to go great because now we use decks to help us, but now we're going to have a deck that we can pull from that has two different things going with it as well, which is about us embracing our shadow self and about taking action towards our shadow self. And all of these things are attached to effective communication and all of the other things that we talked about here on this podcast. So, you know,
Mhm.
join us. You know, these ladies are with me all the time, and we doing our shadow work together as well as on our own. You know, and it's helping us. You know, because I'm able to do a lot more things that I wasn't able to do back in 2018. You know, before taking my spiritual journey and doing my shadow work and reflecting on my shadow self, and I'm still learning. You know, it's continuous. Shadow work doesn't stop. I've seen one lady had something on her page about, have you healed? Well, you can heal something, but I'm sure you're going to still be living life and get triggered again by something that's going to bring you back to that same emotion, right? Because
Mhm.
life keeps life. And so you have to be able to deal with that situation. And it's probably going to be something that may not be the same thing, but it may be something else that makes you have to deal with yourself. Because shadow work is
Mhm.
your shadow self, the things that are hidden, right? And so now, even with our spiritual family, we were learning even more about our shadow and how to deep dive with that. So it's a lot that we have to continuously do, even with this effective communication. Like I said, it's not going to be overnight that you're just going to start effectively communicating, because some of you,
Mhm.
it's ingrained in you, you
Yeah.
know, with your culture, with your family, how y'all been talking to each other, you know,
Yeah.
in your houses.
Yeah,
So,
because we could be in the same area and they
right.
have their own dialect, but then in your house you have your own. So it means people outside like what they
Right, exactly. Like, exactly. So that's what I'm saying. It's like you had your own situation going on in the house, then you got your own situation going on amongst the people, you know, the
say.
culture. Then you got, you know, you got to go and sit in front of these other people that they got their own thing going on, and then you got to effectively communicate with them. So it is going to be a journey in reference of effective communication with everyone. Don't feel like it's something you're going to learn like that.
Mhm.
I suggest you research it like we did as well, right? We ain't experts on it. We just bringing these topics to you guys, like my good sis and me, you know, in reference of helping you guys ascend. Because
Mhm.
if you don't receive some of the knowledge, you'll never be able to get the wisdom to understand, to have the culture and the freedom of the power, right?
Mhm.
So all those things to say, effective communication is one of the things that you need to work on your spiritual journey. It's going to help you either way it goes, okay? Even on your career journey, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Another thing I want to say about shadow work, when you said somebody said they healed. So I like to kind of associate it, even though it's not the same. If
Mhm.
somebody is an alcoholic,
Right.
yes, you can go to AA or whatever, and then you can not drink, but that thing is still there. So that's something that you, at least you are aware of what triggers you, what's going to call. If I know if I hang with these people, I know if I'm dealing with this, those are my triggers to set me back. So once you understand, now let's say whatever you trying to heal from, once you understand why you do certain things and what triggered you and what caused it, then you can be more cognizant of, okay, I know this situation or this will trigger me into being like this or going to that. So knowing how to control that or just balance that out, that's something that we're going to have to do for the rest of our lives, because it's not going to just go away.
Right.
Emotions go away. If it's a cut, that might heal, but
Right.
those emotions, they're always there, but it's learning how to deal with it and manage it so that it won't hold you back.
That's right. And you
Yeah.
still gonna have those scars,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because that's the thing, just like you said, and that was a good example, perfect example, because even those people that have accomplished getting over, alcoholism, or they may have went to what's the AAA or whatever, whatever the little 7 steps or something they go to or something like that. But those people say, yeah, they went through those programs, but they still have to fight with that trigger and that urge every day. It doesn't
Yeah.
heal. It's accomplished to get over the heel. That's what I say. You don't heal, but you're getting over a heel. You've accomplished, that obstacle, that adversity that is right there at that time. But you still have to work at that every day. And that's how
Yeah.
you have to think of yourself. You're a work in progress. Most of us are. We're not perfect, right? And so that's what has triggered me to definitely do shadow work continuously. And now, being able to offer it in reference of classes where I soon want to be able to do it more or less in reference of it being just a digital thing where we can all come together and it not just be on Patreon, those type of things, to help many people, because there's so many people that need to do shadow work. They don't even say that they don't even know anything about shadow work. And then they're completely confused on how to even get on task and have that spiritual connection, And it,
Mm-hmm.
it makes me sad in some cases, because it could help so many people. Because without shadow work, I don't know where I would be,
Mm-hmm.
So, because it's a self reflection. If we don't reflect on ourselves, family, we'll be in a turmoil. Which some people don't even like it. Those are the least videos watched on my channel. People don't want to do their shadow work because they don't want to face themselves.
That's right. They don't want to do the work. They don't want to face themselves. They want to do everything else around that, but except work on me.
They don't
So
want to
yeah,
do it.
I believe it.
Yeah, they don't want
It's,
to do it. And
it's
listen, you
good.
can't make nobody do it. It's free will out here. But when
Mm-hmm.
it's time to ascend and there's things that's gonna happen and you get left behind because you haven't worked on yourself,
Mm-hmm.
nothing I can tell you,
Yeah.
what Christy
And
say.
it is not that too, but beyond before that is how you deal with your everyday life, the people in your life. And so a lot
Right.
of times people go around with that negative energy around them all the time, and then it's like complain, oh, nobody don't want to hear that all day, every day. I'm sure everybody
Exactly.
have their own problems, and we know that, but like I be at work sometimes, it's like, oh, you have to understand they're going through this. I'm like, we all are. So
Right,
I don't have to understand that.
right. We are going through
We
something.
don't have to understand that. So we're here to do the job. So my point is, you can't let that filter into everything that you do and everywhere that you go. You have to learn how to keep that in check and keep that in balance instead of
That's,
just pushing it all out to everybody else and then expecting everybody to accommodate your problem.
that's facts. That's true. Yes. Because one thing about it, like you said about how other people feel like, we have to be, yes, we do. We want to have empathy and everything like that, because that is a part of having integrity and stuff like that. But you also have to remember, self-love first is
Mm-hmm.
about you. That's the same analogy I always tell you guys in just about every shadow work video, is to put your mask on first, right? Like they tell you on the airplane. Take care of you first, because if you can't take care of yourself first, how you gonna be able to take care of anybody else? So if you
Mm-hmm.
can't self-reflect on yourself first, how in the world you feel like you're gonna be in successful relationships? How?
Mm-hmm.
If you haven't even started with yourself first? Because that's been the main issue with most of even my relationships, because I was reflecting all my trauma and all my drama on somebody else instead of facing myself. But when I faced myself, put myself in solitude and isolation and really sat with myself, I was able to realize, wait a minute, it wasn't them, it was me. Common denominator. Hello?
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of people don't want to say that. A lot of people don't want to face that. A lot of people want to
Mm-hmm.
point their fingers to other people. And then
Mm-hmm.
they may come to this situation about, not having emotional maturity and effective communication. Well, you had to start with you to have that, and then move out and try to do those with your relationships. But if you got to also be able to communicate with self, and how is that? Journaling, meditating, right? Making that connection with self also to your spirit team, right? When
Mm-hmm.
I say that. And so these are the things that you have to start with as self-love, self-care, right? Because that is what is pushed outwards. Remember, you start within, right? And then what is within will be pushed out. That's what the good karma is and all of that. But if you can't even get this right, you in trouble, you know?
Mm-hmm. And another thing, when you're talking to yourself, be honest. Don't lie to yourself.
Right.
Well, this, but because it's not going to help you. So
Mhm.
you have to be that honest communication with yourself, not even with other people. You need to be honest with other people too, but be honest with yourself. And because a lot of times we get into things because we trying to accommodate, we don't want to say, and we wasn't being honest with ourselves. And
That's
then we get in the situation and then we upset because it's not going how we want to, or we're not getting what we want. But in the first place, you were never honest about what you wanted. You wasn't honest with yourself, and then you wasn't honest with other people. So that
absolutely.
honesty has to be in there as well.
Absolutely. That is the first effective communication, not lying to self. Just what you
Mhm.
said, sis. Exactly. That's the first line of effective communication, not lying to yourself. Because if you lie to yourself, then you definitely gonna lie to others. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So that was definitely on point. That's right. That's right. Because sometimes we want it to go the way we want it to go. We want to hear what we want to hear, just like with the divination. How some people
Yeah.
get upset because they get mad at they readings and all of this. Well, you can't make spirit gonna put it right out what it's supposed to be. You can't change
Mhm.
that. And
Yeah.
so that's a good example of how people don't want to be truthful with themselves.
Mhm.
That's the
Now,
first.
even when I do my own readings, it ain't always what I want to hear either. And I'll be throwing the cards back in there because that's not what I wanted to
We was just talking
right
about
back.
that.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Don't want, and it's like me too. I don't. I want to hear what I
Me
want to
either.
hear sometimes,
Yeah.
but then I keep getting. I'm like, oh, okay,
I know. Because we like, listen, spirit ain't gonna lie. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So I already know. Yeah, sometimes it be like that. Even as us divinators, we don't like to get those bad situations to come out either. But we know the ancestors ain't lying.
yeah,
We
mm-hmm.
know that. And we know we got to face the facts to
Yes.
be authentic with ourselves, because they ain't gonna show throw it out. And then you don't believe it the first time, they gonna throw it out again.
Right. I said what I said now. That's
Right.
so true. Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, so
Mhm.
that's just life, man. That's
Yeah.
what the blood friends code is helpful. Right, exactly. Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
those are the ones that's going to really help you grow. Not
Yeah.
blunt being nasty, but blunt as, hey, this is what it is. And then you need to
Right.
do this, and you should have did that. That was wrong, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So You don't want somebody just always agreeing with you all the time.
Right.
That's what we want, but we don't need that. That's not helping us.
Right. But then you don't want somebody also to be disrespectful. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? So know the difference in the two. You know what I'm saying? You could tell somebody what the real deal is without being disrespectful. So make
Mm-hmm.
sure you understand that. Because sometimes some people just disrespectful. You know what I'm saying? And
Mm-hmm.
but that's also what I was telling you about. I'm gonna do the video tomorrow, shadow work video on protecting your energy. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because um, it's needed. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? It's needed amongst the collective. And that's a part of your shadow self, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes it may not be recognized as that, but sometimes you not protecting your energy will bring out the shadow side, right? The things
Mm-hmm.
that are lay dormant. hmm
Yeah.
So I'm gonna talk about that tomorrow on the video. So that'll be a new one that'll be up on the channel tomorrow, sis.
What time are you going to do that one tomorrow? You have a set time?
It'll probably be up in the day because I think I'm probably not gonna have too much time or things to do on my full time. So that's what I plan on doing. Right
Oh,
after
okay.
is it for you?
Okay. So y'all just tune in tomorrow. See that one. That's going to
Yeah,
be a good one because it's definitely need
yeah.
to know about that.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Because I already started making my notes and stuff off of that because it was something that spirit gave to me and was like, this what you need to talk about because I was feeling it a little bit too. So I was
Mm-hmm.
like, in multiple situations, not just recently, but even in the past, knowing how to protect my energy and looking back and understanding that it protected me in some situations too. Just
Mm-hmm.
knowing how to protect my energy, right? And
Yeah.
so sometimes some people may not even know how to even do that or how to even start. Or they may
Mm-hmm.
feel like they're doing it and it's really not them protecting it. Maybe just them trying to change things, but it's not efficient. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so we'll talk about that tomorrow. So it'll be up no later than that one will be up no later than 4 o'clock tomorrow. So Eastern.
Okay. So y'all can tune in all in the cards.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Mhm.
definitely send it to y'all and let y'all know, especially my Patreonians, y'all will know firsthand,
Mhm.
when that was up. But yeah, I'm gonna definitely do a new one of those. And yeah, like Tangela said, you know, you gotta start with self, family, and think about empathy, right? Because you think about you being in the worst situation and you are in a place where people don't understand you, and think about how you want others to feel when you're trying to express something to them that they don't understand. That's the best possible way I can um,
Mhm.
explain how to effectively and efficiently communicate with someone with empathy and with also clarifying and confirmation. I like those two things that it said. That was one of the first things that caught my eye because I'm always saying that. I love to confirm some stuff. But
Mhm.
but making that and I didn't even do that. You know what I'm saying? So I listened to that too. Listen, we all learning, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Um
we're not no experts up here. We just bringing it to you so you
no,
can do your own work, like you say. We're
hello.
gonna introduce you, and then you do your own research. You do your own work on yourself. But this is just to bring it forward so you can understand how they coincide with each other. That's all
That's
this is.
that's right,
Mhm.
sis. That's right. Yep. That's right. We don't pose to be no experts. That's why I started out letting y'all know what my flaws was, and I'm still working on them, right? But
Mhm.
as we both state and how I state on all my shadow work videos, listen, this is me going through it with you. Okay. We all students to the game, right? But what you do is take this information, what I'm giving to you, right? Of what I've researched and what Tansla's researched, and we putting it out here for you, and you do your own due diligence, right?
Mhm.
And that's how you become the expert, right? Practice makes
Mhm.
perfect, right? So yeah,
Yes.
we know masters to this,
Yeah.
right? I don't think nobody really is for real, for real. Not in this day and time, the way things been going anyway. You know,
Obviously. Because how people out here acting, they're not.
Right. You know, we don't even shoot, even on our in our politics.
Mm.
They can't even effectively communicate, you know?
They can effectively lie.
Oh,
They can't
right.
effectively do anything else.
Hello. That's what
Mm.
we get all the time is lies anyway.
So I don't know if anybody up here have any questions or anything, but I want to say I'm going to be doing these podcasts every couple of weeks. So if you have any suggestions of something that you want to talk about, you can always put it in there. But I don't know what my next topic is going to be. I have a couple of things in mind.
I got a couple of things too, and I'm definitely was gonna probably anyway. We're gonna do some collabs, but Key and T every other Sunday on All in the Cards is my podcast, and I'm gonna have my sis back on. Where she's been on my podcast before too, so I'm gonna have her back on as well. But I want mine to be more on if you into spirituality and on a spiritual journey, please come over there because mine's gonna be more on that for us to talk about, you know. Yeah.
So about almost at our hour. So
Yeah. Yeah.
um, I don't think anybody had any questions. So, like I said, all of these first three podcasts were just basically to get us into working on ourselves. And like I stated before, because I see a lot of people, on YouTube, they're not really telling you the real deal about how shadow work really works, and then they just put it out there like it's like that's something you just check off on the tab, and it doesn't require any real deep work, but it does. It's not something that happens overnight. Everything is a lifelong learning process, and always constantly improving yourself. And I don't want anyone to feel as if anybody is trying to make you seem like you're less than and you haven't made it this far, because we all right here with each other. Just because
Right.
I may have done this, you may have done that. So we're all here together, and
Uh,
we're trying to learn and help each other to get where we need to get to.
that's
And
right.
it just these little bitty things,
That's right.
it's the steps. You
Yeah,
can't skip over the steps because you're going to have to go back to that same step anyway. So that's
exactly.
what this is all about. So just we helping each other. We coming up here to talk about things that we need to talk about. You want to talk about,
That's right.
issues that we all go through. So that's what this
Mhm.
is all about.
That's right. Each one teach one because ain't nobody better than the other person. And no, everybody don't know everything because they don't know your situation. Only you knows your situation and only you can change you. Know that. Okay. I don't care how many people come on here and make 1,200 videos and tell
Mhm.
you that they can heal you and you can heal yourself in one segment of doing shadow work. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. It's
No,
years and I'm still doing shadow work. And I started doing shadow work in like 2019. You know what
me
I'm
too.
saying? Yeah. So
Mhm.
look at us. And we still doing it and still trying to encourage people, right? So it's
Mhm.
not, no one can come on here and tell me it's just a one-time thing. I don't like that. Yeah.
Yeah, you're welcome, Chrissy.
Oh yeah,
So
Chrissy.
thank you for joining us today. And like I said, she's all the cards
Anytime.
has the shadow work session tomorrow. Go to her Patreon. She has shadow work sessions weekly. Go to her website. She has the shadow work cards and the Zoom,
Yeah.
okay, shadow work class. So
Yeah.
you go to AllnDaKards.com. Also, I want to say she has another website, Healthy Exchange Shop.
Oh yeah.
Those
Thank you.
teas are so good. I
Yeah.
love the Rise and Shine. That's my favorite one. But
That's your favorite, honey. That's her favorite, honey. She love that shine. Gotta have
yeah,
that
that
black bean boost with that black tea. Yes,
because I
ma'am.
don't eat it, but I still like that
Mhm.
one. So yes,
Yeah.
so check that out. And also you can check out my shop, FemiAshay.com. So thank you
Yes,
for joining
ma'am.
us today. We'll see you the next time.
All right, y'all. See y'all. Bye.